So, hi, welcome back. Um, I so learning the YouTube stuff.
Secretary of Agriculture,
So,
and she's saying
let's listen.
that the 34 billion able-bodied Americans who are on Medicaid
your parents, etc.
start picking some crops after they deport the people who have been doing these jobs. But the biggest problem here is most Americans are not applying for those jobs. Most Americans don't want to do them.
Correct.
2/3 of farm workers are people who have immigrated to the United States.
2/3 of crop workers are foreign-born, and while many come to the U.S. for seasonal jobs legally through H-2A visas, the USDA estimates that 42%
Folks, I'm
of
Monopoly,
are undocumented.
which is
Now,
like
I don't know what they're
Monopoly.
planning on doing here, because the only way it would be feasible that Americans who are receiving Medicaid will automatically have to go work on a farm is the application process would have to be done at a farm. Because let me apply for Medicaid through the online website, and then they say I need to report to a farm. I'm just not going to show up. What? If you've ever applied for health insurance, you can do the whole process online. Medicaid is the exact same thing. And I think people don't understand that Medicaid is not a check that you receive. Medicaid isn't free money. You are doing mountains of paperwork to just receive basic medical care.
Yes,
and the money for
this
that
is
medical
true.
care, you never see, you never touch, you never even experience because it goes directly to your medical care.
Correct.
But y'all are expecting Americans to go work on farms. Okay, good.
Oh boy.
With that, because these farms are all in red states, and this is going to affect y'all more than anybody.
Jim Jordan is trying to claim that it's not immoral to force people on Medicaid to go to work. Look at this.
Wow. Folks, listen. Jim Jordan.
That is fair to taxpayers, that's good for our economy, maybe most importantly, that's actually good for that recipient, for that.
But he's leaving out the part that most people on SNAP or other government assistance programs do work, oftentimes multiple jobs. This issue is not about laziness, it's about low pay. Also, able-bodied doesn't mean they don't have any challenges. Many of these people are caregivers, have undiagnosed disabilities, or undiagnosed mental illnesses, or they just simply have limited access to transportation or childcare. See, work requirements sound good on TV, but in reality, they usually kick people off of their benefits and don't help them find a job at all.
Correct.
A study conducted on Arkansas's Medicaid work requirements showed that 18,000 people lost their coverage, and there was no boost in employment.
I'm so sorry.
This isn't about encouraging work. This is about gutting safety nets under the false pretense that these people are gaming the system. So Jim, it's not far from immoral. It's very immoral to punish people for being...
For the folks in Arkansas, I am so sorry. Wow. I did not know this. So, please accept my apologies as a person. I hope that your neighbor is helping you, and you are helping your neighbor, because Lord knows, our Southern boys, wow, they are like the first to sign up for military, to be honest. I don't know, I don't understand, I guess. Why are we not taking care of the most important people in our lives who hold the history in their hands of what actually happened to history in general? Not only that, what about those who served their time, did their days, did what they're supposed to do? Teachers, electricians, masons, the whole 9 yards. Why should they go back in the field? Okay, enough. No more soapbox. Let's listen. White farmers sound the alarm after no one wants to work on the farm. We're going to watch this all the way through. And it is Eugene from Kenya. I am having some issues because I do need to get my ice
Secretary
checked.
Rollins just dropped the
I
most dystopian work plan since the company town. Just this week, Secretary Rollins said we can replace all the immigrant farm workers with, wait for it, people on Medicaid. Because apparently having health insurance now makes you eligible for manual labor conscription. She literally said there will be no amnesty, But mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way. We move the workforce toward automation and 100% American participation, which, with 34 million able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do fairly quickly. Yeah. You know what I love about this plan? The sheer audacity of it. They've managed to turn healthcare into a draft notice. Congratulations, you've been selected for our new program, Medicare to Migrant Workers. Hurry up, Grandma. Time to pick the strawberries. Your arthritis medication depends on it. And they call it strategic deportations. Strategic, like there's some master chess game happening here. Well, we can't deport them all at once. That would crash the food supply. We need to do this strategically. You know, one abuela at a time. Here's the beautiful irony. They're complaining about 34 million people on Medicaid, while simultaneously creating a system that ensures those same people will need even more medical care from working in fields all day. It's like a self-perpetuating healthcare industrial complex, but with more sunburn and fewer benefits. They're essentially creating the ultimate gig economy job. Work the fields to keep your health insurance, but good luck accessing that insurance when you're too exhausted from picking tomatoes to make it to a doctor's appointment. Now, most of these so-called able-bodied Medicaid recipients are already working. They're just not working hard enough, apparently. Because nothing says American dream like forcing people to choose between healthcare and dignity. Hey, at least we'll have the freshest produce picked by the most medically insured workforce in history. Assuming they can still afford the insurance after working for agricultural wages. Make sure to follow me on all the other networks and like, share, and comment below.
Folks.
Let me know your thoughts. Stay vigilant. Be loud.
People on Medicaid don't look like what you picture in your head. I am on Medicaid.
have absolutely no words for what I just heard. I am so frustrated that at this point in time, I don't even know what to say or how to say it or what I can do to convince you that this is not okay. And for my Generation X, you grew up with families who were in Vietnam, were exposed to well, they don't call it a war, however, it kind of was. It really was. I think anywhere where weaponry is used is a war. Because you don't know what that person has suffered inside. You don't know what goes on in their mind. You don't know where they're at or if they have already been driven that far because perhaps their father had Agent Orange and died from it, or the fact of the matter that they were grown up as a good old boy and it was their right to serve. It was their responsibility. And then you have those who serve quite simply because it's in their upbringing. However, those people also have feelings and stigmas about what's going on around them. So please make no mistake. And Generation X, if you're listening, what is wrong with us? Why are we not rising up? And Generation Y and Z, I get it. Why would you want to follow in our footsteps? And baby boomers, I am so sorry for what's coming. Anyway, let's finish. Let's continue.
My family is part of the 3.1 million North Carolinians who are on Medicaid. And I will tell you right now, it has been a godsend for my family. I do not know how we would survive financially without it. I lost my job in July of 2024, July 12th.
This
We are
guy
almost
looks
to the
pretty
1 year
young,
mark
folks.
Of me being unemployed without full-time employment.
And he doesn't
And
look
Medicaid
lazy.
has
He's got a
helped
bunch
keep my family
of
afloat because there are
tenants
medical issues in my family that
behind him. He's a
need to
good-looking
be
kid.
addressed. And was not able to
time
continue to pay for Cooper.
is,
I had very good insurance at my old job. I had a very good paying job.
1747.
And I was paying $3,000 out of pocket every month for the
Wow.
first 3 months for Cobra to keep that
What?
insurance. And that was not sustainable. I had a lot of issues personally thinking about applying for Medicaid because how much money I used to make and thinking, well, Medicaid is for people who don't make much money and who
Right.
really need help. But the truth is, I needed help and I had to swallow my pride. And my family needed that help, and it has been so helpful. And now I don't know what's going to happen. I have spent the past 12 months applying for jobs nearly every day.
Oh,
networking,
wow.
interviewing for jobs, being contacted by recruiters who then ghost me and don't even show up for the interview time.
Oh,
that they set up.
goodness.
The job market is that bad. Medicaid is not about people who are lazy. It's about people who need help. And right now, my family has needed help. I don't know what North Carolina is going to do about Medicaid. I know the state can't afford to fund it at the same way it had been. And hopefully for me and my family, one of these jobs I'm interviewing for lands. And that's our ticket off of Medicaid and to health insurance once again. I know that for that's my case. If I'm that lucky, there's still literally
Okay,
millions
so,
of us across the state who won't be so lucky. Millions more
I'm not
across
sure,
the And I realize there are parts of this big, beautiful bill that will probably help me once I
something
get a job.
prize
That's not lost on me.
fighter. Folks,
So please
you reach out to
understand
him,
there are millions
help
of people
him.
out there who probably
That
look
would be
just like you.
fantastic.
Might be your neighbor, might be one of your best
Yeah,
friends.
he's
You have
right.
no idea.
Could
Is on
be
Medicaid, because
anyone.
they really want to work. They're willing and able to, but they haven't gotten that opportunity. So
Wow.
before you shout from the rooftops that this piece of legislation is passed, just think about those that it is under effect in a negative way and see what you may be able to do for them.
I think everybody needs to get on the same page when it comes to government assistance because some people have seemed to make a lifestyle out of being on government assistance.
Very
I want
true.
everybody out there to know you do realize Medicaid, EBT, any kind of government assistance is not designed to pay for your poor choices. You are the
Correct.
one who lay down having baby
Exactly.
after baby. The government is not responsible to take
Correct.
care of your children. That is your responsibility.
Right?
I keep seeing people, I don't know
Preach
what
it,
side
lady.
I
Preach
must have
it.
landed on because I keep seeing people talking about they are low income. As if that is an excuse
boy.
to keep creating. If you know you're low income,
Glasses,
why do you
folks.
have 3 children?
Not
You
only
knew
that,
you were
her
in low income when you had
dress
1
is
child.
blue
Then
and
you
white.
had 2. Now you got 3. So that you can end up with more Medicaid and more EBT benefits.
Something
This has
joy.
really-
I don't
this
know.
really needs to stop. The American
Medicaid
taxpayer
is not a
should
lifestyle.
Not have to pay for the bad decisions of others. The American taxpayer should not be punished because somebody else does not want to get up and go to work. I've said this before. I'm not somebody who never thinks that anybody should ever be on Medicaid. I think there are exceptions. You are a disabled person who is physically unable to work. You're a senior citizen. You need Medicaid, EBT, food stamps. I think that you should be able to get those services. But if you are an able-bodied person, you should not be making a career out of being on Medicaid. You should not be on Medicaid, EBT, food stamps, any other kind of government assistance year after year after year after year.
Remember when everybody was saying that immigrants were taking their jobs? They're coming here and stealing our jobs. Well, I guess you were right.
The first thing I'll say is the president has been unequivocal that there will be no amnesty, and I think that's very, very important. About mass deportations. The president and I have spoken about that once or twice, and he has always been of the mindset that at the end of the day, the promise to America to ensure that we have a 100% American workforce stands, but we must be strategic in how we are implementing the mass deportation so as not to compromise our food supply. Ultimately, the answer on this is automation, also some reform within the current governing structure, and then also when you think about there are 34 million able-bodied adults in our Medicaid program.
You hear that?
There are plenty of
34
workers in
million,
America.
folks.
Yep, you just
In
heard
our
it.
able-bodied
Agriculture
Medicaid
Secretary
program.
Brooke Rollins just proposed
Agriculture.
that U.S. Medicaid
Oh, Lord have
recipients
mercy.
replace migrant workers on the farm.
Obviously,
And
no one's
mind you,
worked in
this
the
is
field
solution
there.
To the problem that the administration
Okay, I'm gonna
has caused.
shut up.
Her administration, her boss.
Wow.
Not to mention the double down on the amnesty thing. With
Ouch.
the added bonus of basically saying that this was supposed to be a way to like get a 100%
Oh,
American
goodness.
workforce. because that's really the goal here. And all
How many of you out of the 34 whatever is going to show up? Raise your hand, even in the back. Raise your hand.
Sounds real familiar. I want to know how they propose to do this. And white people, y'all make up like 40% or something like that of people on Medicaid. Like, y'all aren't
Wow.
lying. They really were taking out jobs.
Nah, he
And I
right.
guess y'all about to go work on the farm. Listen, don't go out there and end up getting a tan. Because ICE might
Oh,
be
boy.
in your door.
Ladies
Don't go
and
out there with a
gentlemen,
record,
enjoy your
because
tan.
now you're a violent immigrant. They will just pull your
Ooh,
citizenship.
dog.
That's a thing now, too. And please, I hope it doesn't escape anyone that there's a big possibility, like a huge possibility, that the same tactic used in this mass deportation will be used to get all these Medicaid recipients to the farm. Like, I'm really interested to know, like, what are they going to do? Like, they're just forcing people at this point?
Yo, Grandma, you can't have your arthritis medicine till you go pick enough strawberries.
Well, I mean, there's a word for this. It escapes me now at present what it is.
Will Medicaid
Now-
recipients be working on farms to fulfill their work requirements? Well, U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said in a press conference that Medicaid recipients who are facing stricter work requirements under the new budget bill's Medicaid law could potentially be working on farms to replace the deported immigrants. She said that. And she also made it very clear that there will be no amnesty for migrants. Let's listen to her say this.
About where the president stands and his vision for farm labor. The first thing I'll say is the president has been unequivocal that there will be no amnesty, and I think that's very, very important. I and the rest of our cabinet certainly support that, effectuate that, and make sure that happens every single day. The second thing, to your question about mass deportations, the president and I have spoken about that once or twice, and he has always been of the mindset that at the end of the day, the promise to America to ensure that we have a 100% American workforce stands, but we must be strategic in how we are implementing the mass deportation so as not to compromise our food supply. Ultimately, the answer on this is automation, also some reform within the current.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you without looking at you. You know, I grew up in a large town and then a small town in Colorado where we had one stoplight. You could go home at the end of the day and your parents kind of knew what you had done. For those of you who, hold on, excuse me, I don't know what this is. Hello, stop, no music. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, I see we're almost to 20 minutes. This is not the America I was promised. This is not the America that my father, who is a Marine, by the way. I'm an Army wife and a Marine Corps daughter. We need to bring back our America. Join me in the next segment, part 3. We're going to continue on with white farmers sound the alarm after no one wants to work on the farm. From Eugene, from Kenya. Please join us at 25 minutes. Anyway, see you soon. Bye.